time for the ride home in ENC.
Yes! Yes! Yes!
This is your 5 o'clock drive with Patrick Johnson.
Holy mackerel!
More news, more interviews, more ECU stories than you can shake a stick at. Hey, stop shaking that stick. This is the Patrick Johnson Show.
Pirates win! Pirates win!
On 94.3 The Game.
Hello, friends, and you are our friends. Patrick Johnson Show. Hello again, everybody. It is the great P-Man here with you on this Monday, final one of April, as we get ready for another big week ahead. And lots to get to today. Of course, had the NFL draft this weekend. We'll talk about that. The coverage, the Panthers draft, and just general sports media with our friend Demetri Ravanos. Been a minute since we talked to him. Demetri, of course, has his podcast on Carolina Panthers football, but also now writes for the site Awful Announcing. So looking forward to talking with Demetri here in about 20 minutes or so. So looking ahead to that. We've got Pirate Baseball tomorrow, so a shortened edition. Planning on Mike Mullis tomorrow with some exciting news, and we've got some other great guests. We have some, I guess, calls out to put it one way, and looking forward to getting them on this week. We'll see how it all pans out. Point of personal privilege, a very happy birthday today to my niece. Stands to be the tallest Johnson. T.E. Tatum Elizabeth with the big number 8 today. How about that? All right. Pilkington is in, I assume. You didn't.
I'm here.
Today,
I was supposed to. I was supposed to go to the hockey game with Wags. The Canes swept, so now I don't get to see Wags. I'm happy I get to see you, PJ, but I was looking forward to hanging out with Wags. I'm not going to lie.
Well, I understand that. I think you were also looking forward to the game itself, right? Because it could have been a clincher, potentially.
That too. That'd have been fun. But I mean, I'm not a Canes fan. I'm there for the atmosphere more than anything.
Right. Well, you'll get to go later, won't you? I mean, like Wag said, saves money for tickets further in the postseason. So you can go.
I hope so. I'm worried next week, is going to be a little crazy. Graduation week around here. We're going to be a little short-staffed, Got
a lot of seniors, don't we?
We do.
Got a lot of seniors.
We got a lot of seniors and one guy who's graduating or finishing up school a little younger than he should be because he's smart. Somehow, William is the smart one.
So we do have an opportunity to get those guys beyond that to do some things. But next week.
Oh, yeah. Next week's dicey. Yeah.
I'm thinking, what year is it? Yeah. So I remember graduating Pilk, obviously. And I was really concerned at the time because I knew what I wanted to do, but I had no idea now that you're out. Because I couldn't have kept doing it at the level kind of part-time I was doing it. And lo and behold, the wages were about that. But, bebopped around over the years. And here we are. I guess I'm doing what I wanted to do when I set out to graduate.
Hey, here I remember I had to take me and Ben were splitting the part-time duties early when I first graduated. I had to work another job. I went a couple months just kind of helping out with some odd jobs. Some of my dad's friends still doing called me up and offered me a job. So,
by the way, Ben B-Baby Byram is in town this week, so we need to figure out a day. This could have a Friday situation written all over it. Potentially.
This sounds like the whole show Friday of just fun, a long 5 at 5.
I think
the whole show.
Ben comes on one day this week, though. I think we need to do that as a special guest. Need to make that happen. Let's see. So the Canes sweep, that's one of the big nuggets out of the weekend. We've got other things to talk about. We want to get to Demetri. We'll have plenty of time for that. So let us hit our top 5 at 5, where we cover the top handful of stories around Pirate Nation and the world of sports.
This may very well be our last mission. Let's make it count.
This is the Patrick Johnson Show on 94.3 The Game.
It's impossible.
Now some stories you may have heard.
You ready?
Or catch it for the first time. This is your 5 at 5 with the P-Man.
Number 1.
Right now I can hear, you already talked about the Pirate sweep. Hang on. It's the reason we're doing the top 5 at 5.
How about those friggin' Pirates?
How about them?
Here we go. Number one. Well, we're not just going to talk about the sweep. We're going to talk about all the success on the diamond. It was the softball team 2 games out of 3 over Tulsa on the weekend. Julia Pastelakos was named to the conference honorable mention after a heck of a performance on Friday. Unfortunately, that was the one game they lost. They lost it in extra innings, lost it in 10. Then the baseball team went undefeated, sweeping the South Florida Bulls' second conference sweep of the 2026 campaign. Jack Herring was named the conference player of the week, and Joseph Webb the conference pitcher of the week. However, Webb says he couldn't have done it without his defense.
Oh, yeah. Lash catching that line drive and then Big Jeff making a couple plays in left. Those are the guys. I love them. I loved playing defense whenever I was a position player, so I see the work that they put in every day, and it's nice to know that, I've got a really, really great defense behind me.
Wait, do you think that Sabater or Sabater, whatever they're calling him this week, he's like these basketball players, it's a different pronunciation, different parts of the season. Do you think that at some point yesterday somebody dared him to go with the rec specs and batting helmet to do the post-game interview, he won something. He won something. Some soda pops, who knows, but he won something.
Oh, he was definitely told to. He admitted, I guess, to the media before that he was told to leave his helmet and glasses on. I was told they were not standing behind the media making fun of him. Normally, when it's your first time getting interviewed at East Carolina, they stand behind the media and make faces at you and see if they can get you to crack and laugh, or in Ethan Young's case last year, slip up and say a word that he wasn't supposed to say. That one was pretty funny. The one thing I will say about Jeff Sabater, though, PJ, what year was that guy born? Because he plays baseball like he was born, like he's playing in the 50s or 60s. He plays it the way it's supposed to be played. He sees a pitch on the outside part of the plate, he just goes oppo. When he has a pitch down in the zone, he just drives it through a hole on the ground. He doesn't have to lift everything. He doesn't have to pull everything. He's just such a baseball purist. And they're still we're clinging on to a few baseball purist players out there.
I heard early in the Cubs-Dodgers game Saturday night, John Smoltz bemoaning launch angle and exit velo and, all of the things that are in vogue in hitting in this day and age. And the other thing is the Pirates have been working on, to a man, going oppo, using the whole field. Going with where the ball is pitched is what he does. Sabater does. He where it's pitched, he hits it. Hit it where it's pitched. So as exciting and sexy as exit velo and all these other things are, launch angle, it is still the name of the game is get on base. Now, there's you'd rather hit a home run, I guess. The numbers bear that out. But sometimes you just need to get on base. Sometimes you just need to get a base hit. And
he does it about 47% of the time, I think he's getting
excellent.
on base.
Yep, excellent. Softball won this weekend. Let's go to some notes here because I'll have the softball series coming up this weekend on television. My old buddy Fantastic, the coach of UTSA, will be in town. So,
oh, Lord, she's back.
If the Pirates sweep and North Texas is swept, they can finish third. But it looks like ECU is in line to get fourth place in the conference standings and heading into the conference tournament because they own the tiebreakers with FAU and Charlotte, who are behind them. I don't think I've done the research yet because I haven't had time on the UTSA what-ifs scenario, but UTSA lost to Charlotte at home. I saw the end of that yesterday. They got to the eighth inning, and they pitched to Jenna Lord with a runner on with a base open. And you know what Jenna Lord did?
Put it in orbit?
Hit it to Austin. That's how
it's a
far.
long way from San Antonio to Austin.
No, it's not that far, but it's of course everything's spaced out in Texas.
I was going to say, I think it's like a 3.5 hour drive, isn't it?
She hit it that far. So there you go. Did you mention the baseball players who got honored?
Yes, I did. Herring and
you did?
Webb, yeah.
Okay. All right, there you go.
Number 2.
Herring should get honored for a bunch.
He should. Number 2. The NFL draft was this past weekend for the first time.
By the way, Pilk, ECU tied with UAB and UTSA now.
First place, tied for first, 12-6,
yes.
baby.
Right. Yes.
Number 2.
That's right. We don't do edits. These are all our mistakes are the real ones.
Number 2 here is that the NFL draft was this weekend for the first time since 2009. The Pirates had back-to-back years where they had at least one player drafted. Anthony Smith becomes the first wide receiver drafted out of East Carolina since Zay Jones back in 2017. He was drafted in the early 7th round by the Dallas Cowboys. A pair of other Pirates got camp invites post the draft. That includes the ultimate utility man, we'll just call him Mike Wright Jr., as well as long snapper Tristan O'Brien. Mike Wright with a invite from the Seattle Seahawks, O'Brien with a invite by the New Orleans Saints.
Yeah, I don't know what the situation is in New Orleans. I mean, they need bodies, so who knows? Who knows if Mike Wright will latch on, but he almost seems like the kind of guy you want to have on your roster one way or the other. For Smith, and he is likely to get buried on a practice roster, but still, nothing wrong with that. I mean, you're collecting a check, you're in the league, and you have a shot maybe to move around if there's the right situations occur. But you're talking about, this is the compelling thing for Blake Harrell, because I don't think that many FCS players were taken in the draft.
Heck, there was only 13 group of 5 players taken.
Well, that's what and that too. That's what I meant to say. I think in the first 3 rounds, no FCS players were taken. In the group of 5, as you say, maybe a dozen, slightly over that. But one of them came from ECU. Now, this is back-to-back years that East Carolina's had a player drafted. These are things that Blake Harrell can hang his hat on. And you also can hang your hat on the fact that Smith was in a P4 program. And had he stayed there, probably would not have got drafted. But he came here. He came to wide receiver U. And there was a lot of work put in to get him draft ready, and he got drafted. That's a story on the recruiting trail you can tell somebody who's on the fence whether they want to go play for Dave Doran or you want to play for a guy that is on the ascent in a program that's probably a little more on the ascent, one would say.
Well, and also, the great thing about him too, PJ, was it's not only that he got better, but he came more well-rounded, right? He had a very niche
part of getting better
wide receiver. Yeah, but it wasn't he just got better at what he was already good at. He was the top part of the route tree only guy, right, when he was in the portal. That was the scouting profile. That's not the scouting profile on him going to the National Football League right now. That's a lot of credit to Coach Roberts and the whole staff here at East Carolina.
By the way, I found it odd that the 33rd NFL team had no players selected by the other 32 NFL teams off of it.
Yeah, I noticed that. They really struggled in the draft. Their name never came up. And neither did Coach Prime's Buffs, I think. They didn't have anybody drafted either.
Correct. So you could argue 2 of the biggest overhyped frauds in college football were really exposed last year. And it's also exposed that they didn't have any players drafted. Shows you that their programs are not really full of talented guys.
This proves he's a big fat phony.
3.
Number 3, sticking with East Carolina, heavy East Carolina win today. Coach Kip McNeil has signed an extension through the 28-2029 season.
Who's the feller at the Reflector now, the reporter? I don't know him.
Donnell.
He reported this, didn't he? And credit to him, because I don't know if this was supposed to be out per se. And I think he, through some just paying attention and keeping his eyes and ears open, which everybody should do in reality and every journalist should do, got a story. And I say a significant story because Coach Kim's done a fantastic job. I thought it was unfortunate that they didn't get into any kind of postseason. There's some politics with that, obviously. And there's some expense that, in this new era, it's tough to justify shouldering, perhaps. But 22 wins is still 22 wins, and you've got a lot of mo heading into the offseason, I see where they've already got some players in the portal that have committed. And I think for Kim McNeil, who had a year remaining after this season on her most recent extension, it's a positive thing for her because she is sort of ingratiated herself into the community, not only through her basketball team, but also through the fact that her kids are very, very integrated in youth and middle school sports here. And you don't want to move your kids unless you have to in a situation like that.
Yeah, definitely that. The human side of things, I think we forget a lot of the times.
Side of that, yeah. And Kim's making pretty good money. Let's not kid ourselves, but I mean, it's not like she could hang it up tomorrow and never work again. So, I mean, she would, presumably, if she got offered another job, she'd probably consider it. Or, point is that, it's not like she could just stay here without working. It's not like she could just say, oh, you know what, I'm going to retire, and I'm just going to sit back and let my kids finish high school because, stuff's expensive now. But anyway, that hypothetical is not on the table. They've got her committed for the next several years, which I think is fantastic. It might get her twins through high school, perhaps, and or close to it. And I think that's a great thing. And I'm happy for Coach Kim, and happy for the university coming through with this. It's a positive, I think.
Yeah, and I'm just glad to not see her coaching with 1 year left on the deal. Right? She has earned the right to be under a multi-year contract at any given time because of the success that she's had here in what has never been the most funded women's basketball program in the conference.
No. But she's done a really nice job. And she's created interest in it. I mean, now they pad the numbers with the days where the elementary schools kids come out, but that's grown so popular they have to do it twice now. So nice they do it twice. But, they're drawing about 1,000 or so for non-student games like that. And I think that's, people are interested. I think people will be a little more interested as well.
444.
Number 4, we'll head to the course or the track. And Nicole Nash and Marta Perez were named to the American All-Conference women's golf team this year.
Men are playing in their tournament. First round is today, if I'm not mistaken. So they're down in Florida. Yeah, starts today, runs to the 29th.
Yeah, that sounds right. Yes, yeah.
They're down in Florida playing right now. And I saw where Kevin Williams apparently was on some kind of golf podcast, like a bit of, those golf podcasts are probably a little niche, but he was on one of them. And congrats to him on making that. No, I think it's great. I still think the greatest first pitch of all time is the Nicole Nash chip to the catcher before the softball series against Charlotte.
No, that was awesome.
It's the greatest first pitch or first chip of all time. We need more creative first pitches in the world of first pitching.
Was that Justin's idea?
I'm sure it was a Justin Bear idea. It should have been
I don't know if Nicole came up with it or Justin whoever it did came up with a great idea.
Brilliant, and it was executed beautifully, and it was absolutely perfect.
5.
Alrighty, number 5, Texas Tech. They're probably upset they let Mitch Griffiths go as their new quarterback. Brennan Sorsby has checked into a gambling addiction rehab facility.
Do we know the issue with that as far as is he under some sort of pending investigation? So
yeah. He's under NCAA investigation in the wake of the discovery of Sorsby making thousands of bets via gambling apps.
So this will be a chance for the pearl clutchers to run to the keyboards or to their phones and gambling is bad. Look at all what it's done to college sports. And again, this is another case where mechanisms are in place to catch this stuff when somebody who shouldn't be gambling is gambling. And you know what, Pilk? He was caught. He's under a probe. Now, look, if he's got a problem, if he's got a true addiction, God bless him. I hope he's able to get it figured out.
Yeah.
I hope he's able to get the help he needs. But this is another case of the system to catch these things has worked. These gambling apps and these casinos, they don't want all this stuff going on. They don't want the skullduggery involved because it is a multi-billion-dollar operation across the board. So they invest to get somebody in. I mean, there's people that I know that aren't even really, they're not athletes, not college athletes, and if they get an edge, they'll throttle them back on that if they're doing really well. And I know a couple of guys have had that happen.
Well, I mean, it's just
if you're a little miffed about it.
Yeah, but I mean, I just know. I mean, we have plenty of friends that obviously that work inside the walls of ECU athletics who are not technically directly a part of the team, a specific team. They're not allowed to do it, and they say, you know what? Sometimes we want to, but at the end of the day, we can't. They're like, we get to enter NCAA tournament brackets for bragging rights, but enter fantasy sports for bragging rights, but that's it. Can't put any money on it. And they're like, we knew it when we got into it. That's part of the gig. It stinks, but hey. Now, I will say this, PJ, and this is a very relevant topic because the Derby's this weekend. Did you know that they are now trying to make it where people who are involved in college athletics can no longer bet on, they're trying to make it this way, I don't know if it's officially been done, bet on horse racing because they're saying because equestrian is a college sport, that has a direct contact to horse racing? Whatever idiot came up with that?
Dan Dockich on his podcast, because I saw a reel of this, claims that Joby Hall had assistants take prospects or players at UK to the track during Derby time, and that's how they got the sack full of money back in the day. You just lay a bet on every horse for a guy, and that's how you get the brown paper bag of money. Back before NIL.
Yeah, hey.
Back before
find a way to. If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. Find a way around the rules.
It's the way that's what Dockich said.
Yeah, but still, to say that equestrian, I mean, it's not the same horses, it's not the same jockeys. That's stupid.
Yeah, it's kind of. But
that's stretching.
Look. These players, are they going to sue for that? Are they going to
No, they're not. I just know a guy. It's funny. I've got a friend who used to be employed here by ECU, now is employed by another university, left voluntarily, but he couldn't sports gamble, which he was like, it's fine with. But when he went back home, there was a little rinky-dink horse track that he used to love to go to and place bets on. He said that, you and I could go out there and outrun these horses, but it was like, man, we can't even do that anymore. It's disappointing.
Because of equestrian.
Yeah, because of equestrian.
It's crazy. All right, let's hit a break. We'll come back. We're supposed to be joined by Demetri Ravanos. Oh, there he is. Look at him outside. He's got a little Joe Giglio motif going that he's outdoors. Look at you pulling him up. I knew you were up to something, Pilk. Demetri Ravanos on the other side.
The best burgers around. Everyone loves a thick, juicy, and fresh burger. Tiebreakers in Greenville, plus the all-new Tiebreakers in Winterville. Two real burgers, better than anybody. So don't just go to any burger-themed restaurant chain. It's time to break the chain and eat local. Tiebreakers, real burgers at its best.
Everybody loves burgers.
You know what the problem is with standard belts? Usually you have to choose between too tight or the opposite, too loose. But with Anson Belt & Buckle, you don't have to choose. We got rid of the holes and instead have a track system designed for micro-adjustability. That way you can enjoy a perfect fit every time. Anson Belt & Buckle. Find your perfect fit today.
Healthwise Pharmacy rounds the bases with all of your infusion, retail, compounding, and medical equipment needs. Locally owned and operated by pharmacist Marcy Parker, Healthwise has grown to be your most trusted provider for infusion services. Currently providing in-home or on-site infusions in North Carolina, South Carolina, and Virginia. Visit Healthwise Pharmacy at 615B South Memorial Drive or call 252-295-0059 to speak to a patient service representative to find the option that best suits your needs.
In this age of globalization, we've learned that bigger isn't always better. Ever tried to get phone help from a big corporation from a real person? Right. That's what's so nice about Phelps Chevrolet. After more than 50 years serving our community, Phelps remains family-owned and operated. Mike, Daryl, Wave, West, Alan, and Clay deliver hometown service and integrity, same as always. They share your experience, they share your values, and they are ready to help with any motoring need. Come get you one.
This is about you, your family, and the health of all who live in Eastern North Carolina. This is about the transformation of a health system into something more powerful and more human. About creating new ways to treat disease and keep you well. This is about ECU Health, which is to say, it's really all about you. ECU Health. Minds, hearts, purpose.
Make every day electric on the Kawasaki Electro 20 electric balance bike. Maximize the fun with long run times, impressive top speed, and Kawasaki build quality. Easy adjustability and smooth handling make everyday riding more enjoyable. And the standard MTB type tires provide off-pavement capability. The Kawasaki Electro 20 is the electric balance bike that's built to rip. Go to Ron Ayers Motorsports, Memorial Drive north of the airport, Greenville.
Back to the Patrick Johnson Show on 94.3 The Game.
Welcome back. We got a jam-packed show, so let's get started.
Deep breath. Here we go.
We've got our first concert on the Common Thursday. It'll be outside of Dottie Ficklin Stadium, not at the Town Common this year, and it'll feature Craig Woolard and the Embers. 6 o'clock on Thursday. More on that this week. Welcome back to the program. As we know, the Panthers had 7 draft picks. Demetri Ravanos is now a columnist with Awful Announcing, also part of the podcast This Team is Killing Us. I think I got that right. Because
you did.
He covers with Lauren Brownlow, his old broadcast colleague, the Carolina Panthers fandom. So let's start with the Panthers draft, Demetri. If everybody loves to give a draft grade, if you gave it a draft grade, what would you give the Panthers draft?
I would say a B. They got talent, but I'm not sure they got talent at the places they need it the most this season. I sometimes wonder if Dan Morgan is capable of rethinking his timeline for this team, because clearly they're a step ahead of where they thought. I like getting Monroe Freeland in the first round. I'm a big fan of Lee Hunter, the defensive tackle out of Texas Tech. But I just think that there were 2 huge needs for this team in this draft, safety and center. And I think they got one of the best centers in the draft, but I do wonder if he hadn't fallen to the 5th round, would they have even succeeded there? I'm undeniably they got talent. I just don't think they got talent in the places they needed immediately.
Yet I see earlier this morning where they are considered one of the when you do the over or under or the bets on wins in the upcoming season, they are one of the 8 that are, I guess, forecast to have the fewest amount of wins.
Yeah, I think that part of that is a function of the NFC South, because if I recall correctly, both the Saints and the Falcons are, if not in the bottom 8, at least in the bottom 10.
Sure.
But, the other part, Patrick, is let's be real. This team didn't have a winning record last year. They backed into the playoffs. They won the games they weren't supposed to, but then they went and lost the games, a bunch of the games they weren't supposed to. So I understand why people have some trepidation about this team. I think they are capable of taking the next step, but honestly, the next step may just look like same thing as last year, but we do it with a winning record this time. That's still progress for this team.
Well, and you say winning record, it might just be your game over type of thing.
Well, yeah. Yeah, I mean, even with the playoff games, they were 2 games under this year.
Right. Tampa's collapse, I mean, you that was pretty monumental, what we saw out of, especially the way they started the year.
Yeah, I mean, probably first quarter of the season, we are talking about them as a legitimate top 2 team in the NFC, probably top 5 team in the NFL. And we're talking about Baker Mayfield as a potential MVP contender. And then Baker Mayfield proved to be what I've been telling everybody he is since he got into the league. you will never be good enough to win a championship, but he is good enough that you will never be bad enough to go out and draft the quarterback that can win you a championship. So the Buccaneers are very familiar with it, and I assume very comfortable. They keep giving him contract extensions, very comfortable with Baker Mayfield purgatory.
Anything from the draft coverage outside of Mike Greenberg's faux pas that stood out? Because not only were you watching it for the Panthers podcast that you do, but you were also, I'm sure, watching it for awful announcing.
I mean, there were Mike Greenberg's other faux pas. The one I think that the one I think that everybody is zeroing in on is saying that Denzel Boston, the wide receiver out of Washington, was David Boston, the old Arizona Cardinals receiver's son. That is not true. The other one was in the first round when he seemed to be unaware that the 49ers had traded their pick to the Miami Dolphins. I found myself thinking about this during Saturday's coverage. Every single draft coverage, ESPN, ABC, and the NFL Network, you had to accept somebody that was going to annoy the hell out of you, right? The first night, I mean, I'm not a Desmond Howard guy, so ABC was kind of a tough watch for me. But then again, I'm not really a Mel Kiper Jr. guy, so ESPN wasn't really for me. So usually I put it on NFL Network, and somewhere along the way, NFL Network added Joe Klatt. And as much as I'm not a Desmond or a Mel Kiper guy, I'm 10,000 times more not a Joel Klatt guy. So there was a lot of grit and bear it for me watching the draft this year.
I got a question. Who's less of a Mel Kiper guy, you or Tobin, Bill Tobin, the old Colts GM?
Well, Bill Tobin is dead, so I would have to assume it's me at this point.
But you haven't nationally said who the hell is Mel Kiper on national television.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I think Mel Kiper deserves a debt of gratitude from the NFL for what he can be credited single-handedly with pulling the draft into this monumental TV property that it is. But we're at this weird place in media where some of the biggest names, and this is across all sports, there's somebody for this across all sports. Some of the biggest names covering their individual sport, have contempt for people that actually like the sport. It's so confusing. I think last year, Mel kind of went off the rails about the Shedeur Sanders thing and referenced Shedeur 6 times over the course of 3 days in this draft.
With that said, you've talked about this, I've seen in clips and heard on your other shows where it seems like the inside the NBA group, particularly Charles Barkley, not only seems to, I don't know if he has so much contempt for the fan, but he seems to hate the sport he covers, whether it's college or the NBA. He doesn't seem to like it. How has that marriage been, by the way, this year, Demetri, the ESPN inside the NBA marriage?
I think that some people probably think ESPN was a little more meddling than they actually were. I think that, you saw Stephen A. and Jalen Rose slide in at times where they had to fill in for usually Kenny Smith, but sometimes somewhere else. I think for the most part, everybody that has worked on that show that came over with it from Turner will speak glowingly about ESPN recognizing that their brand is what it is. And the best thing ESPN could do is leave it alone. And for the most part, they did. I think that ESPN, and to a certain extent, probably Turner too, but when it comes to that show, ESPN very much sometimes programs based on what it is they are seeing on social media. So I think you saw early in the year basketball fans were wondering why, it's great we're getting inside the NBA, but why are we getting it on the ESPN post-game show schedule, which for people that don't know is boom, 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 come on, get to SportsCenter, got to sell those ads. So after the new year, they really started to let Inside the NBA be Inside the NBA again. I think the fact that we didn't hear much about it this year, PJ probably says that ESPN did a good job just letting it be what it is.
But when you have the guys on there consistently talking about...
Hang on 1 second. We are wildly different. I'm just going to tilt my camera down so I feel as tall as you here. There we go.
Okay. What?
No one's ever said they want to feel as tall as PJ.
No, you don't want to feel as tall. You would actually decrease in height, Demetri. When someone, I know we all kind of joke about it and pointed out the Barkley contempt, but I mean, at what point does that become a problem for the NBA, or is it?
Yeah, I mean, I think it is. I think that Charles Barkley is probably the most entertaining and most valuable person on TV doing the thing he does on TV. And he has to be that to forgive how cantankerous he is and how almost he's almost encouraging you not to watch the games. Now, all I ever hear from him and Shaq, who I also think is incredibly entertaining in that spot, is we don't know the names of the guys playing. We don't know the names of the guys coaching. This is not a good version of basketball. And look, I don't love the modern version of just basketball in general, right? I think the Steph Curry, Caitlin Clark shoot it from the logo. I find that boring. So I'm with Charles Barkley in that way, but the NBA has not paid me $20 million a year to evangelize their product, right? I thought one thing that Amazon, the Prime Video, their NBA studio show did this year, which was I thought really smart, not just because it was a fun segment, but also it sent a very particular message. I don't know, Patrick, have you watched any games on Amazon at all this year?
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
So John Wall, Raleigh native John Wall, is their go-to analyst. Clearly they are building for the future. And they did this segment this year where they named dudes, and I'm talking deep on the bench guys. And we're asking, we're quizzing John Wall. Where did he come from? Where did he go to school? And John Wall got something like 17 out of the 20. And while it was a fun bit to see if you could play along at home, it was also this really smart message to fans of oh, you like basketball? Cool, we do too. You're welcome here.
Yeah.
And that's really different from the message you've gotten from TNT and ESPN the last few years.
How has the NBA done this year, Demetri, with the Amazon expansion, but also with the NBC side of this and the Peacock side of this?
Well, I think NBC has won nearly universal acclaim for its presentation of the NBA. I think the only complaint I have heard about NBC is sort of selling that package of Michael Jordan interviews as something it really wasn't, right? Overall, though, people love having basketball back on NBC, and the way NBC has leaned into nostalgia without letting nostalgia take over everything there. Amazon is interesting because Amazon replaces, some of those lower tier ESPN, ESPN2 games, but it also replaces NBA TV. So you're not getting the marquee games at all on Amazon. But now that we're in the playoffs, there are whole nights where all of the games are on Amazon. I think that they got the NBA got an amount for its media rights that a lot of us thought was going to be impossible. And that means some changes are going to come along with it. I think I am more than okay with those games going to Amazon from the standpoint that even if you don't think you have Prime Video, you probably do, right? I think Prime Video's biggest problem is that people pay for the free shipping and don't realize it comes along with that platform. But that being said, it's not exactly easy to watch games on Prime Video. If you want to watch the basketball game on Prime Video and the Canes are on and you want to flip back and forth between the two, it's going to be about 45 seconds to a minute between getting from one to the other.
Yeah. What happens with the regional sports networks like what the Canes are on and the Hornets are on? I mean, what's the latest on that kind of situation?
Everything is on fire. I think that I think that everything not in North Carolina, in the South. I think that the Florida teams, the Tennessee teams, maybe the New Orleans teams, although I'm not quite sure. I think they're going to be forced into an alignment with the Braves in this Braves Vision thing. I think that there are a couple of groups with some national reach based in North Carolina that would like to not only package the Panthers and Hornets, but also be in a position where whether Major League Baseball comes to Charlotte or Raleigh, they've got space for them. I think that I would bet you are going to see something start with, like the Canes and Hornets particular. You're going to see them start on streaming next year with select games over the air before this thing is all ironed out. I mean, remember Braves Vision this year, Braves fans didn't know where they were going to be watching baseball games until I think a month, maybe even a little bit less before the season. So, strap in, enjoy the games in the playoffs on national TV because you don't have to guess at where they are. And you'll know more about the Canes and the Hornets, like literally right before the season starts.
Why hasn't ESPN Plus got involved with this?
I think ESPN Plus is the backup plan for the NHL, certainly. Maybe for the NBA, too. I think that one of the things that is hard to ignore, and this is why it makes a little more sense for the NHL to be locked in on ESPN Plus. One of the things that's hard to ignore is, ESPN did that deal with Major League Baseball, but they don't get the Yankees. They don't get the Braves. They don't get the Cubs. They don't get the Dodgers. I'm not sure that the NHL has a brand, maybe Toronto, but I'm not sure the NHL has a brand that is vastly more valuable than any other one in the league. The NBA, I mean, if I'm the Celtics or the Lakers, like that's a non-starter for me. And if it's a non-starter for the Celtics and the Lakers, I would think it might be a non-starter for ESPN as well. I think that's what's holding up the basketball.
Gotcha. I want to go back to, you talked about streaming, and I guess there's this, Demetri Ravanos, by the way, columnist now for Awful Announcing. He follows all of this. Great to have him back. When you look at the deal where more and more games are matriculating in the NFL to streaming, and I guess there are lawmakers that want it to stay on free over-the-air TV or just on broadcast TV. What is the likelihood of that occurring? And, I mean, I can't see that the NFL's really down with that, because if the streamers are willing to pay additional money, the ownership was going to want that.
Yeah, I mean, if you are Roger Goodell and all of these, I mean, are they, I genuinely don't know. I'm genuinely asking, are they hearings or are they just strongly worded letters at this point? Whatever it is, if you're Roger Goodell, I mean, I would think that your response would be like, are we living in capitalism or are we not? Like, we should be able to go after every single penny we can here, because the reality is CBS, Fox, NBC, and eventually we're going to get to this point with Disney too. They don't have the pockets to compete with Amazon or with Apple or even with Netflix. Like at some point, this is going to be the migration that major sports makes without any kind of legislation. This seems like a winning issue for politicians, right? Anytime you can latch yourself to helping people save a little bit of money or helping people not spend money they didn't have to last year, that's going to be a winning issue. I just don't know that this is realistic. I mean, Amazon alone is going to be able. This is why Amazon has Thursday Football. They pushed their price, the price they were willing to pay. They pushed it to a level that Fox and CBS could not justify for what at the time were bad games. I think that's going to be the case. I've said to my colleagues at Awful Announcing that they think I'm crazy, but I truly believe this. I don't think we're far away from the vast majority of games on Sundays being streaming, and anything on CBS or Fox are going to be the exclusive game in that window.
How many years out would you say?
Well, I think we're going to start the discussions in 2029 when all of the rest of the deals come up. So, I mean, who's to say we're not talking about 2030 as a possibility? I would be comfortable, Patrick, saying that 2030, that seems like a very real possibility to me. It's just a matter of like, it's really very similar to the legislation around college football, right? It's very hard to get a handle on how serious, whether it is the White House or Congress, how serious they are about following through on these threats versus, how much of this is a chance to get applause during a time not a lot of people are clapping for you. So it's just kind of hard to figure out exactly what tea leaves we're supposed to be reading here. But that's the direction technology is going. So I would be more likely to put money on 2030 than not at this point.
What is the onus on the streamers to make it more easier to get to the game, find the game, go toggle back and forth between games if you want to watch, as you say, flip to the Canes game while you're watching an NBA? I mean, at what point would there be pressure on the distributors to kind of sharpen their act up and make it where it's more like television?
Yeah, I was about to say, whenever we get to the point where we realize streaming should all be packaged together and call it something like, I don't know, cable. I was just spitballing thinking of a possible name for it. It's going to be like, I think the NFL is really interesting, right? Because the NFL has to decide what is more important. Do they want the ubiquity of being the thing that is constant? Like every year, 99 of the top 100 TV programs are football games. And of those 99, usually it's somewhere in the area of 60 are NFL games. That is true control, not just over the television landscape, but over American pop culture that the NFL enjoys, in part because the NFL has deals with everybody and the NFL is everywhere. Would they give that up if the price were high enough? If the price goes high enough, it's up to the NFL to say what it is their broadcast partners or streaming partners or whatever should be doing for their fans. And I don't think the NFL is really in the business of serving their fans anymore. And that's not even necessarily like a how dare you, a hardcore criticism. It is just me abjectly looking at the landscape of of sports media right now. I think that if I were a lawmaker, a lobbyist, whatever, Patrick, at the very least, what I would be encouraging, like the YouTube TVs and Disney with their Hulu Live package, what I would at least be encouraging them to do is make it easy to change channels on those platforms. Yeah. I shouldn't be waiting 15 seconds on those platforms to get to the game I want to see. In terms of going from Netflix to Amazon, I mean, I think it's going to be very hard to give those companies a reason to work together.
Yeah. Want to ask you about, it was reported last week where iHeart and apparently SiriusXM are playing footsie with one another. Just from the standpoint of sports media and radio on a broader scale, what does that mean for the industry, do you think, if that were to go down?
Yeah, I mean, probably fewer jobs for people like you and me, right? Like, I think that, I have very strong feelings when it comes to iHeart and sports. And so I don't want this to be personal, but having worked in the consulting space for sports radio for a long time, I've seen iHeart say a lot about how much they value local identity and do the exact opposite. If that is their pattern, and now, in addition to Fox Sports Radio, which iHeartMedia owns, they also have access to Stephen A. Smith on the radio and Chris Russo on the radio, both of whom are part of SiriusXM's radio lineup. I think that, Raleigh and Greenville are two really good examples of markets where if you are not here and you don't understand the culture of what like sports is in the Triangle or up where you are in Greenville of, yes, it's a G6 school, but ECU sports, football and baseball in particular, are a thing people care about. If you're making this decision from LA, where iHeart is, you're going to have a lot of markets very poorly served by this. They're going to be able to justify, just by looking at a number of people that live in that area and say, oh, they don't need local sports talk, or they'll just be happy to get Stephen A. Smith and Colin Cowherd.
Who wouldn't? All right. Thank you, Demetri, very much. Wild. We'll talk to you again soon. Good to see you again.
All right, PJ. Thanks so much.
There he goes, Demetri Ravanos. Love having him on. All right, we'll come back and wrap up the show for today, kind of get you set for tomorrow. Stay tuned.
This is about you, your family, and the health of all who live in Eastern North Carolina. This is about the transformation of a health system into something more powerful and more human. about creating new ways to treat disease and keep you well. This is about ECU Health, which is to say, it's really all about you. ECU Health. Minds, hearts, purpose.
You have a choice when you invest in insurance, and when you choose First State Insurance Advisors, you're working with people you can trust. Clark Stallings has deep ties in the community. His team, including Keaton Smith, Regina Asby, Phil Leyva, Max Joyner Jr., Max Joyner III, and Ginger Smith, provides knowledgeable and professional advice. First State Insurance Advisors is an independent insurance agency. They offer all types of personal insurance as well as various types for business. Call or email First State Insurance Advisors today. We want to be your trusted choice agency.
Acre Station Meat Farm, along with Lane Angus Beef, bring you farm to fork beef.
Stock your freezers now with affordable beef boxes, just in time for the grilling season.
Farm to fork beef brings quality local beef to your family. From your traditional butcher shop, Acre Station Meat Farm. Come on down to Acre Station Meat Farm and find out why we're #1 in fresh cuts and friendly service.
Acre Station Meat Farm, Highway 32 North, Pinetown.
Daughtridge Gas and Oil has been your dependable propane supplier for 95 years. Their trained technicians can service and properly install all your propane and natural gas appliances. Plus, Daughtridge Gas and Oil is your backyard expert with fire pits, grills, smokers, and more, including quality outdoor furniture at their Greenville Patio and Hearth Shop at 1901 Charles Boulevard. Go by and see the knowledgeable staff at Daughtridge Gas and Oil for propane delivery or call 756-1345.
Healthwise Pharmacy rounds the bases with all of your infusion, retail, compounding, and medical equipment needs. Locally owned and operated by pharmacist Marcy Parker, Healthwise has grown to be your most trusted provider for infusion services. Currently providing in-home or on-site infusions in North Carolina, South Carolina, and Virginia. Visit Healthwise Pharmacy at 615B South Memorial Drive or call 252-295-0059 to speak to a patient service representative to find the option that best suits your needs.
In this age of globalization, we've learned that bigger isn't always better. Ever tried to get phone help from a big corporation from a real person? Right. That's what's so nice about Phelps Chevrolet. After more than 50 years serving our community, Phelps remains family-owned and operated. Mike, Daryl, Wave, West, Alan, and Clay deliver hometown service and integrity, same as always. They share your experience, they share your values, and they are ready to help with any motoring need. Come get you one.
And now, the stunning conclusion. Why is everyone screaming? On 94.3 The Game.
All right. Great to have Demetri Ravanos on with us. Also, great job today on the top five. Pilk, enjoyed it. We are going to be back tomorrow, 5 o'clock, and lead you into Pirate Baseball as they will take on NC State, the Wolfpack, and the Pirates for the second time this year. East Carolina will try to keep the good times rolling after a 4-0 week. So we'll see how that plays out. All right, I will see you in the morning on Talk of the Town, 103.7, and the IBX Media app, and then a lead-in tomorrow back here on the PJ Show coming up at 5 o'clock on 94.3 The Game, 94.3thegame.com, and the IBX Media app. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, or the rest of your evening.